pull, looking for Mitchell. Mitchell driving on Clark. Mitchell, Boston for the tie. Oh, it rims out. She got a great look at it, and it was halfway down.
Picture this, the Indiana Fever, down by 3 against the defending champion Las Vegas Aces, clock winding down. 30 seconds left. The ball's in play, but it's not in Caitlin Clark's hands. It's not even with Kelsey Mitchell. Instead, the coach decides that Aaliyah Boston takes the game-tying shot and misses. Fans are left wondering, is this really the best strategy for a team with the best three-point shooter in the league? Or is Christie sides holding back one of basketball's brightest stars? Enter Caitlin Clark, the freshman phenom taking the WNBA by storm. She's breaking records left and right, giving Fever fans something to cheer about. With a team firing on all cylinders, they've clinched their first playoff spot since 2016. But while Clark's star is rising, coach sides seem stuck in old playbooks.
Christie sides, you are an absolute abomination of a head coach. I can't believe you actually have a job. You don't know how to use Caitlin Clark's strengths.
It's not just about one game or one shot. We're talking about a pattern here, folks. A pattern that's keeping the Fever from reaching their full potential. We'll break it down and take a closer look at how Christie sides might be the biggest obstacle standing between Caitlin Clark and WNBA greatness, between the Indiana Fever and playoff success. Before we dive in, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Are you ready? Let's go!
You don't know how to use Caitlin Clark's strengths. You don't know how to play to her weaknesses. You don't know how to draw up a simple out-of-bounds play. You don't know how to calm down muddy waters. You don't know how to call a timeout and relax everybody's emotions. You don't know how to talk to the referees. All you know how to do is wave your arms and defensive slide on the sidelines. And Christie sides, I'm tired of seeing it every single game.
The Fever's record stands at 19-19. A perfect 500. But in the world of professional basketball, average isn't enough. What if this record isn't just about player performance, but a reflection of something more fundamental? The answer might lie in the decisions made not on the court, but from the sidelines. As we dig deeper into the Fever's season, a troubling pattern emerges. It's not just about one game or one missed shot. Fans are starting to connect the dots, and the picture isn't pretty for Coach Christie sides. Take the May 28 game against the Los Angeles Sparks, for instance. In a crucial stretch, when the team needed their star player most, where was Caitlin Clark? On the bench, watching the Sparks go on an 11-0 run, erasing whatever lead the Indiana Fever had built. Clark was on her way to a record 30-point night, but sides' decision to sit her star player left fans baffled and frustrated. One supporter couldn't hide their disappointment, tweeting, "Every time they get hot, she benches Caitlin Clark and the opposing team goes on a run. It's like clockwork."
It's really hard to feel good about my performance at all right now. Just, this was a game that was ours to, this is a home game. This is a game we're supposed to win. We give up 24 points off turn.
Christie side's incompetence is why that game ended up that way. She doesn't call a timeout for about a 17-minute span from the 7+ minute mark of the third quarter to about the final minute of the fourth quarter.
This isn't an isolated incident. Game after game, we've seen questionable calls that leave spectators scratching their heads. It's as if sides is reading from a playbook that doesn't quite fit the team she's coaching. In the July 12 win against the Phoenix Mercury, the Fever nearly blew a very big lead. In fact, this would have been one of the best comeback victories in WNBA history had the Mercury completed it. With a 31-point lead coming into the fourth quarter, sides decided to shift back to her stuffy half-court offense instead of the style her star player is accustomed to, passing the ball, shooting threes, finding the open cutter. Clark was caught visibly upset heading back to the bench, clearly frustrated with the in-game decisions, and it almost cost them the game. One fan was even accusing sides of sabotage.
Everything to smile about through 3 quarters. A little frustration there on the sideline.
These coaching decisions aren't just frustrating fans, they're impacting the team's chemistry. The lack of cohesion on the court, especially prior to the Olympic break, is palpable. This uncertainty can be traced back to sides' inconsistent rotation and decision-making.
Okay, and here's where the shocking part was. This one got me. Okay, you got Caitlin Clark, you got Wallace, and you got Samuelson on the court at the same. But Christie sides' mentality and connection with the team is really struggling.
Let's talk about that 19-19 record. On the surface, it might not seem bad for a team that hasn't made the playoffs since 2016. But when you consider the talent on this roster, it's hard not to wonder what could have been with more strategic coaching. You have a former #1 pick in Aaliyah Boston, a consistent 20-point scorer in Kelsey Mitchell, and a generational talent in Caitlin Clark. The Fever have the pieces to be a formidable force in the WNBA. So why aren't they living up to their potential? The answer, increasingly, points to the sidelines. Side's inability to maximize her players' strengths is becoming a liability. In a league where every possession counts, her questionable late-game management is costing the team valuable wins. Remember that Aces games? It wasn't an anomaly. It was the culmination of a season-long pattern of puzzling plays and missed opportunities. As the playoffs approach, the pressure is mounting. Fans are left wondering, can the Fever overcome these coaching hurdles? Or will Side's decisions continue to hold them back? If you've made it this far and are enjoying the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. We know watching this video takes some of your time, and we appreciate you. Now back to the action.
She is the reason they lost that game. She was the reason they lost that game. While they turned the ball over a whole bunch, at the end of the day, it was a 1-point game, and she took out her 2 best defensive players and put in her 2 worst defensive players, and immediately it snowballed in her face. And they lost the game by 11, 99-88.
Caitlin Clark's star is rising, but the Indiana Fever seems stuck in orbit. With a roster boasting incredible talent, their 19-19 record feels like a letdown. What's holding this team back from becoming a true WNBA powerhouse? The answer might lie in the disconnect between team brilliance and in-game strategy. Clark's rookie season has been nothing short of spectacular. She's shattering records left and right, giving Fever fans a taste of what could be. Kelsey Mitchell continues to be a consistent offensive force, averaging over 20 points per game. Aaliyah Boston has recently found her groove in the paint, having a career night against the Atlanta Dream. And let's not forget about Lexi Hull, whose sharp shooting and defensive hustle have made her an invaluable asset. But here's where things get interesting. Despite these standout performances, the Fever's defensive rating is among the worst in the league. It's a puzzling situation that has fans and analysts alike scratching their heads. How can a team with so much individual talent struggle so much on one end of the court? The finger of blame is increasingly pointing towards the sidelines. Christie's side's coaching decisions have left many questioning her ability to maximize the team's potential.
Her job as a coach to stem the tide and to keep it from snowballing into a disaster. But she doesn't do that.
But it's not just about one game. The pattern of questionable calls has been a constant throughout the season. Side's inability to design effective plays, especially in clutch situations, has cost the team valuable wins. It's as if she's trying to fit square pegs into round holes, forcing players into roles that don't maximize their strengths. The clash between potential and strategy came to a head in the recent loss against the Las Vegas Aces. Down by 3 with seconds left on the clock, Sides drew up a play for Aaliyah Boston instead of her sharpshooters Clark, Mitchell, or even Hull. It was a decision that left fans and analysts baffled. In a league where every possession counts, these kinds of choices can be the difference between playoff success and an early exit.
You had a chance to tie there with 30 seconds left, and Aaliyah took the shot. Could you talk us through that possession and what you were looking for in that play?
Yeah, people know it's going to be really hard to get Caitlin a shot in those possessions. Like, we want to make sure, like, she, between her and Kelsey, you give them both options.
What's particularly frustrating for Fever fans is the glimpses of greatness they've seen. When the team is clicking, they look unstoppable. Clark's court vision, Mitchell's scoring prowess, and Hull's all-around game create a formidable offensive trio. Add in Boston's interior presence, and you have the makings of a championship contender.
Who is the most dangerous team that you think no one in that top half wants to see right now?
In the bottom half, I think that Indiana is a problem.
But those moments of brilliance are often overshadowed by stretches of disjointed play and defensive lapses. It's as if the team is constantly taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And while player development is crucial, the lack of improvement in basic defensive fundamentals is alarming. This is an area where coaching should make a significant impact, yet the Fever continue to struggle. The situation raises some serious questions. How much higher could this team climb if given a coach who could harness their individual talents into a cohesive unit? What if Side's playbook was tailored to the strengths of her players, rather than trying to force them into a predetermined system? The potential is tantalizing, but for now, it remains frustratingly out of reach. As the Indiana Fever's potential remains untapped, a growing chorus of voices is calling for change. Fans and analysts alike are raising serious questions about Christie Sides' ability to lead this talented roster to success. The frustration is palpable, with social media buzzing after each questionable decision. One fan's tweet encapsulates the sentiment. Christie Sides might be the worst professional basketball coach I've ever seen. The team had the game in the bag before that decision. This reaction came after a crucial game where Sides benched Caitlin Clark during a pivotal moment, allowing the opposing team to erase the Fever's lead. The clash between Sides' coaching style and Clark's play style is becoming more evident with each passing game. Clark's dynamic, fast-paced approach often seems at odds with Sides' more conservative strategies. This mismatch is particularly glaring in late-game situations, where Sides' play calls often bypass Clark's game-changing abilities. Critics argue that Sides' coaching approach is holding back not just Clark, but the entire team. The Fever's roster is brimming with talent, yet their performance on the court often falls short of expectations. This disconnect between potential and results is fueling calls for a coaching change. The consequences of maintaining the status quo could be severe. With Clark's rookie season setting records and capturing national attention, the window for capitalizing on this momentum is now. Each game that passes with puzzling rotations and questionable late-game management feels like a missed opportunity. Fans are starting to envision what the Fever could become with a coach who fully understands and utilizes Clark's unique skill set. There's a growing sentiment that the right coach could transform this team from a middle-of-the-pack contender to a genuine championship threat. Some fans are even suggesting specific alternatives. There's buzz about the possibility of bringing in someone like Lisa Bluter, Clark's former coach at Iowa. The thinking is that a coach familiar with Clark's style could create an offensive scheme that maximizes her abilities while elevating the entire team.
Truly, Caitlin has a different set of rules because she's a special player and she has different talents than most people have as far as her shooting range.
But it's not just about Clark. The entire roster could benefit from a fresh approach. Kelsey Mitchell's consistent scoring, Aaliyah Boston's interior presence, and Lexi Hull's all-around game create a foundation for success. The right coach could mold these individual talents into a cohesive, dynamic unit. The call for change isn't just coming from fans. Basketball analysts are starting to take notice, questioning whether Sides is the right fit for this team at this crucial juncture. The consensus is growing. The Fever have the pieces to be a force in the WNBA, but they need a coach who can put those pieces together effectively. As the pressure builds, the Fever organization faces a critical decision. Do they stay the course with Sides, hoping that consistency will eventually pay off? Or do they make a bold move, bringing in a coach who can fully harness the potential of this roster? The stakes are high. With Clark's star power and the team's improved performance, the Fever have a unique opportunity to capture the imagination of basketball fans nationwide. But that window won't stay open forever. The Indiana Fever stand at a crossroads. Caitlin Clark's incredible rookie season has set records and ignited fan excitement. But Christie Sides' puzzling coaching decisions continue to hold the team back from reaching their full potential. The contrast is stark. A generational talent like Clark, alongside standouts like Mitchell, Boston, and Hull, should be dominating the league. Instead, questionable rotations and late-game blunders have left the Fever with a middling 19-19 record. As the playoffs approach, the pressure is mounting. Will the Fever organization make the bold move needed to unleash their true potential? Or will they stick with Sides, potentially wasting a golden opportunity to become a WNBA powerhouse? The clock is ticking. What do you think the Fever should do next? Let us know what you think in the comments. Like and subscribe so you never miss out on the latest news. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.